Isn't this a gorgeous place? Well, this is where we slept last night, at this rest area or parking area as they are also called, just off the E10 highway. We've been driving for the past 2 days from the North Cape to make it here. Where are we, you might ask? Well, we are just arriving at this idyllic place called Lofoten, which is this archipelago protruding off the western coast of Norway. Let's check it out. I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV. Yeah.
Well, good morning. This is where we stayed last night. Here we have our neighbors from the Netherlands, and I'm gonna try to do a little bit of a hike on this trail here. So gorgeous out here. Well, you saw the drone footage probably. It's a little muddy, and it just rained. It's been raining on and off all night. As you can see, it's kind of wet down here, but it's a beautiful area. Here, near Lofoten, we're right before the actual official entrance to Lofoten. Check it out. It's chilly. Check it out. That's where we're going.
Would you look at that tall waterfall? I just wish it wasn't so hazy.
There seems to be a village right next door to us. Right there.
Norway is a country of unimaginable beauty. Let's hit the road. Okay, let's stop here real quick. And you know what I'm tempted to do? I'm tempted to drive across that narrow causeway and explore this village.
It's amazing.
And you know what? I'm gonna do it. Don't tell my friend Petteri.
The local life.
Turn left.
The island is called Holdoya, and according to the Norwegian Wikipedia, it is nowadays almost completely uninhabited. Only 6 inhabitants as of 2001. It does look pretty well maintained for a ghost town. Maybe that Wikipedia article I read is outdated. Okay, let's turn around. stunning landscape.
Well, it's raining. It keeps raining here in northern Norway. But check out that cute, quaint town. Well, it looks like the sun wants to peek out, but it's not peeking out yet. Look at it. Very nice. Well, camera's getting wet. Let's get back on the road. Oh, look at that.
Here's a rest stop, and it looks like there is an observation deck, so let's check it out.
Let's do a little hike here under the rain. Alright, let's go back. Well, it looks like the sun might want to come out eventually.
Yeah, wishful thinking.
Gorgeous scenery here in Lofoten. Wait. That's our ride on our crib for this trip.
Well, here we are, Svolvær, the largest town in the area. I have several points of interest here marked on my map, so let's see what we get to see. Pretty large marina they have here. The first place I had marked is apparently some ruins, and I think it is through this narrow bridge here. It is becoming evident that it might be a challenge to park the RV here in this area. Well, this looks like a dead end. Perhaps I made a wrong turn somewhere. And this looks like another dead end, and some construction going on. You know what? I'm just gonna turn around. Let's look for something else to do. These narrow streets, they make me nervous, especially driving a large vehicle like the RV. The idea here is to enjoy this beautiful landscape, instead of stressing over traffic. We're also totally out of wine and some essentials, so let's stop by the supermarket. Here we are. There's an automatic machine to pay for parking.
We figured out the automat machine. We were able to pay for parking, and now let's check this out. It is a Norwegian shopping mall here. Check it out. Okay, this is the only place where you can buy liquor here in Norway.
Yeah, just like like Alko in Finland, this is a government monopoly, which, by the way, closes early on Saturdays and doesn't open at all on Sundays, so you better plan ahead. Now let's go to the regular supermarket. Did I tell you I love going into supermarkets, especially if I am in a foreign country? Yeah. Our next destination is called Magic Ice, and it is an ice bar, but not just your regular ice bar. Inside there is a permanent exhibition of ice sculptures. Sounds really cool, right? Or cold, rather. It is -6 degrees Celsius, which is around 20 Fahrenheit inside.
This is the Magic Ice.
The camera is getting all confused with all these colored LEDs, but anyways, here's the ice bar. Let's wait for our bartender to come. By the way, apparently when the cruise ship docks, this place gets swamped with tourists. But lucky for us, today we're the only ones. We get a berry liqueur included in the price of admission. Nice presentation here with dramatic lighting and whimsical music. Again, very hard for the camera to capture it the way it really looks, because of the lighting, of course. It looks like this used to be a refrigerated fish warehouse before they turned it into the Magic Ice Bar. And it probably falls into the tourist trap category, kind of, but in any case, it is a very unique one at that.
There's the bar, of course.
Slide at your own risk. I put this under my...
Right.
Okay, this was fun. Let's continue.
Riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV.
As we approach the village of Kabelvåg, we encounter the Vågen Church, which is also known as the Lofoten Cathedral. It is the largest wooden building in all of northern Norway. Epic fail with the parking. It would have been nice to see it inside. Our next stop is going to be Henningsvær, which is a little out of the way because we're gonna have to take a detour from the E10, which is the main highway, but it might be worth it. Okay, here's where we get off the main road and turn left.
Take the next left onto Henningsvær, primo.
If this road feels a little narrower, that's because it is. It is in fact a one-lane road, although every few meters they have these slightly wider areas that can accommodate for 2 cars. Otherwise, it is a one-lane road. Let me tell you, it is a little bit of a white-knuckle drive here. Luckily, there is not that much traffic, otherwise this could be a nightmare. The views are absolutely fantastic. Let's stop at the caviar factory. I'm hungry. Well, I was hoping to sample some sturgeon roe. It turns out the caviar factory is an art gallery, so the joke's on me. In fact, the whole town is full of art galleries. It seems to be the thing here. We might do a little bit of that, but right now we are very hungry, so let's find somewhere to park and something to eat. It looks like this could be a parking lot. Maybe not. I wonder what's all this junk here, but definitely not a parking lot. Let's continue looking.
Head east on Dryersgate toward Gamelvan, then turn left to stay on Dryersgate.
Over 6 time.
I see a bunch of RVs, so this must be it. We decide to walk under the sprinkling rain towards the center of town. Yeah, our umbrellas are back in Miami. Okay, it's really not raining that hard. Okay, this is where we're going to eat, which actually turns out to be a French restaurant.
We are somewhere here.
We had some kind of fisherman's soup. Very good, very small, very expensive.
Nice color on the water.
Ooh, watch out! Little kid on bicycle. Next, we are going to drive to this secluded beach I found on the map, where if the weather improves, it is going to be my last chance this trip to make a time-lapse of the midnight sun. Let's stop right here and fly. We passed by this famous Viking museum they have here. It seems to be very popular, but we're not really in the museum mood today, if you know what I mean. Eventually, we deviate once again from the E10 and take one of these secondary one-lane roads. Uh-oh, we barely fit. There's a big tour bus coming our way. Yeah, that was a little too close. The first beach here is called Hawkland Beach, but this is not where we're going. This one faces west, which is not good if we want to see the midnight sun.
Well, here we are.
Yes, I found out about this beach online and now we are finally here. There's sheep everywhere, even right here, right next to the campground, which is basically a parking lot.
Hello there. And the sun's coming out on and off.
The improving weather gives me hope that we might actually be able to see the midnight sun. So even though it is early, I think we're gonna stick around here until tomorrow. Let's walk down to the beach and check out this heart-shaped rock here. Totally artificial, by the way. By the way, there is sheep poop all over the place.
There we are. It's amazing.
It's the heart of the ocean. Pretty interesting phenomenon with these rainbow colors on the clouds. Pretty cool.
Very strange. Well, we made it here to, I think it's pronounced Uttakleiv beach. And the midnight sun is supposed to come down this way. And look at this place. I mean, this is of unimaginable beauty here at this beach here in Lofoten. Our campsite is up there, and yeah, I'm speechless. Let's just take a break, rest here. I've driven way too much, and as I usually do, you know, I underestimate the length of the drive, and I try to do too many things in too short a time. But we only had 2 weeks here, so I wanted to achieve as much as possible, you know, to fit in as many things as possible to see in this video. And well, in the beginning of the day didn't start out so well, but right now this is amazing. Check it out. But let's go back to the RV. By the way, we don't have internet here. We barely have a cell phone signal to like make calls. That's the one negative about this idyllic place right here. Check it out. We're surrounded by all these sheep here grazing in this valley here. They're very friendly. There's sheep poop all over the place, so we have to like be careful when we walk. But
wouldn't you agree that we once again found the perfect spot to spend the night at? Or the midnight sun, or whatever. Not having a proper night gets really confusing after a few days. I could get used to the constant daylight though, even if it only lasts a few days. Totally mesmerized by this place. I think the drone scared the sheep. As the day progresses, it starts to get cloudier. Not a good sign.
Well, here's our feast while we wait for the midnight sun here. As it gets darker and colder.
It is almost midnight, and with these clouds, there's very little hope I will get to see the midnight sun. Which only means I will have to come back to this beach someday, with more time, and wait for the ideal weather conditions. While the time-lapse is going, I decide to go for a little hike, kind of interrupted by a light rain. Isn't this a surreal place?
You know what? I was going to do a hike, but it looks like the rain is coming, and it's going fast. Let me go back to the RV. Well, it looks like this is as good as it is going to get for us today, for the midnight sun.
Well, it is now about 1 a.m., which is the astronomical midnight here in the Lofoten Islands. And the sun should be coming, shouldn't be coming. The sun should be right around there, 2 degrees above the horizon, right on the true north. And as you can see, it is cloudy, so we're getting no midnight sun today. I think I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll leave the camera doing a time-lapse though.
Well, yeah, that was kind of disappointing, but still, I feel so lucky I was able to come here, even if I didn't get to see the midnight sun. Yeah, I know, I'm obsessed.
.35 a.m.
Well, the sun kind of made an appearance late into the quote-unquote night.
The view from our room as we go to sleep.
Well, good morning. It is time to go. We are actually taking a different route back, another one of these narrow roads. Here we are, back on the E10. The most striking views should be coming up in this area towards the end of the archipelago, but with these low-hanging clouds, I don't know if we are going to be able to see them. All those racks you see everywhere, they are drying fish, stockfish, cod to be exact. The drying of food happens to be the world's oldest known preservation method. Who knew? Let's take a quick break here.
We're almost towards the end of the island chain.
Here we are by the picture-perfect village of Hamnøy. This is the village called Reine, famous for the views. Perhaps we should have gone for a hike on these granite formations, but the weather, it's not the most inviting. Besides, our time here is running out. In just 5 days, we have to be back in Helsinki to return the RV and take a plane back to Miami. I have promised myself I will return to this place someday with much more time, because I don't think we've seen Lofoten at its best, nor the best of Lofoten.
Take the next left onto Riksvej 80, Riksvej 80.
We are arriving at Muskens, where the ferry to the mainland departs. Originally, the idea was just to find out exactly the times and return later, but seeing the long line, we've decided to stay and wait the 2 hours until departure, right here.
Waiting for the ferry.
In 3.5 hours, we'll be in Bodø, where we will drive across Norway into Sweden, but that will be on the next episode. I know we missed a couple of villages towards the end of the island chain, particularly the one called which is a fishing village museum. But as I said, this is one of those places in the world worth repeating, so we'll be back someday.